Hey, this is Jessica with the Hotkeys to Happiness. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make your own custom slash commands such as /H1 to automatically select styles, tags, and more in OneNote. In order to do this, we'll be using a free Windows scripting language called AutoHotkey, or AHK for short. To install it, just go to AutoHotkey.com, then click Download, and select Download v2. Version 1 has already been officially deprecated. Then go ahead and run the executable to finish your installation. AutoHotkey lets us create custom hotkeys, but in our case, we're going to use something called a hot string. Hot strings are often used as text expansions, where you can set up an abbreviation to type, and that will be replaced by some longer text that you define. So here's the basic syntax to creating a simple hot string in AutoHotkey. On the left side, between the two pairs of colons, we define the abbreviation, in this case, BRB. And on the right side, after the last set of colons, we define the auto replacement portion. This allows us to type out BRB, and after an ending character, such as a space, a comma, a period, it will automatically be replaced with the text "be right back." Now, disclaimer here, make certain that you choose an abbreviation that you're not going to naturally type out, or else you're going to accidentally trigger this hot string instead of typing out the word that you were intending. We can also do more with hot strings than just simply send text. Another thing we can do is send modifier keys. Modifier keys are keys that are used with other keys to perform keyboard shortcuts and other commands. A common example of that is the control key. So using Control-C and Control-V copies and pastes selected items. Now, to send modifier keys as part of our hot strings, all we have to do is use these special characters defined here. Here's an example. In this case, we're defining a hot string where our abbreviation would be /find, and the auto replacement portion would send Control-F. Now that we know this, we can create our hot string for selecting styles in OneNote. Recall that OneNote's shortcut for the heading is Control-Alt-1. So we want to be able to create a slash command that sends Control-Alt-1. And here's our hot string defined. So our abbreviation section, we will type out /H1, and our auto replacement section, we'll replace that with Control-Alt-1 that will actually get sent. Lastly, we can apply some options to a hot string to change how the hot string itself behaves. So in this example, as usual, we have our abbreviation between the two sets of colons, followed by the auto replacement portion on the right-hand side. Now, options are introduced by adding the option characters in between the first set of colons. There are lots of different options available, all described in the AutoHotkey documentation online, but these two options allow the following things to happen. The asterisk will allow the hot string to trigger without requiring an ending character. So usually a hot string will only trigger when you have an ending character such as a space, an enter, a period, etc. This will immediately enable the hot string to trigger once you've typed it. And the question mark allows the hot string to trigger even when you're typing it in another word. So if it's inside of another word or at the end of a word, it'll trigger as well. Now that we have our hot string defined, we can create our AutoHotkey script. One way I like to do this is just by opening up dash. So once AutoHotkey is installed, you can search for dash, and that'll open this dialog box up. Hit new script, and I'm going to put OneNote for the title, and just open an empty script and hit edit. This is going to automatically open your default text editor. I'm using VS Code, but you can use anything, even including Notepad. To start with, I'm going to put some boiler text in for the header. We have requires AutoHotkey greater than equal to version 2.0, and single instance force, which just ensures that we're not going to be running multiple instances of the same script. On a new line, I'll add our hot string that we just defined. Now you can save your script. And in order to run your script, all you have to do is find where the file has been saved and simply double click on the AHK file that you created. You should be able to check your system tray and see that the script is now active. So now if we open OneNote, let's take this for a test run. I'm going to type /H1. And immediately I get a heading 1 style. Perfect. We can add a few more hot strings to our script to apply to the remainder of the headings, and let's also add some tags. So if we open up VS Code or whatever text editor you're using, you can add more hot strings by adding them on a new line. So here I essentially just copied our existing hot string and made them applicable to the H2 through H6 headings. Now to add a tag, let's say we want to add a to-do checklist tag. We'll open up OneNote and take a look at what the built-in hotkey is for to-do. It's Control-1. Now we can create the hot string with that information. So between the first pair of colons, we'll add our options. Then we'll type /TODO for to do, 2 colons, and then we want that to be control, which is the caret, and 1, control 1. So go ahead and save this, and then remember to rerun your script by double clicking on the file. Now let's open up OneNote and verify that our new Hotstrings are working. For our heading 2, it's /H2, heading 3 /H3, and our to-do checklist is /TODO. Perfect. If you take a look at the styles in OneNote, you may notice that not all of them have a built-in hotkey. For instance, code doesn't have a built-in hotkey. So what do we want to do for that? We can still use Hotstrings, but we just need to get a little bit creative. If we can find a series of keyboard commands or buttons to press to get there, we can apply that to our hotstring using AutoHotkey. One way to do that is by traversing OneNote's menus using the Alt key. So if we press Alt, you can see that we can then press H and then L to select styles. And now I can move up and down with the up and down arrow keys. So if I go up 3 times and then select Enter, I have selected the code style. Let's see what that hotstring would look like. On the left, we have our options, then our abbreviation /C for the code style. And then we have the auto replacement section. The first 3 characters are Alt-H-L, which should look familiar. Then we're introducing something new with curly braces. This is what allows us to send keystrokes that are not text. So if we want to send a key, we use the name of the key in between a pair of curly braces. And if we want to send that key multiple times, we use the key name, space, and the number of times you want to send that key. So for up, we send up 3 in between a pair of curly braces here. So for this whole auto replacement, we're sending Alt-H-L, then up 3 times, and then Enter. Now let's add this to our script. Hit save, and remember to rerun your file by double clicking. Now let's check it out in OneNote, and we can change this here to code by typing /C, and it changes into the code style. Right now our hotstrings are going to be active regardless of what program we have open, but we can use something called Directives in order to ensure that our hotstrings are only working when OneNote is the active window. The example line, we have our directive, which is the # then hot if, and we have a condition here. In this case, we're checking if OneNote is the active window. Now, hotstrings and hotkeys below this line in our script will only trigger if this condition is true. We'll add it above all of our hotstrings here, and then as a good rule of thumb, I like to add a blank hot if at the bottom, which means that any hotstrings or hotkeys we add below this section will go back to working globally. Hit save, double click your script to run it, and now all of the hotstrings we set up will only be running when OneNote is our active window. We created hotstrings to enable different styles and tags, but of course you could apply this to basically any feature in OneNote or even in any other program. Drop a comment below to let me know what you're planning on using this for. I'd love to hear. Thanks for watching.